Hello, literature lovers. Today I want to discuss Arthurian literature, our fairly unified picture of Arthurian legend derives from Sir Thomas Marlowe's 15th century motto the Arthur before Mallory. This unity did not exist, there was only a great mass of fable, legend, and pseudo history. Arthur's first biography is in Latin, in the Storia Regime Britannia by Geoffrey of Monmouth. Before Geoffrey, Arthur makes only scattered appearances in chronicle, folktale, and art. That is the timeline of King Arthur's legend. Now, starting with the pseudo historical Arthur, the earliest portrait of Arthur is of a British commander of Roman descent, repelling the Saxon invaders at the siege of Mons. Badonicus, probably 500 C, and De Exodio and Costopetania by Gildas depicts such an unnamed leader, probably Ambrosius Aurelianus, whom he elsewhere praises and who is made Arthur's uncle in later chronicles. The early 9th century Storia, written by Nennius, perhaps using Welsh tradition, has the first direct mention of Arthur depicted as a Christian warrior, winning 12 battles against the Saxons. The last of these is at Mons. Adonis. Nennius also tells the story of British King Vortigern and marvelous boy Ambrosius, the origin of Merlin, the mid 10th century. Annals Cambria refers to two battles, Baden in 516 with Arthur victorious and Camel in 537, while Arthur and Medroff fell. The Welsh traits, which preserve early pre-Norman traditions about Arthur, depict him occupied by his principal warriors, Sia and Bedwyr, as defender of his country, and it is to this tradition that William of Malmesbury's Castega Regum and Grorum also refers in 1125. The 12th century sees the flowering of historical Arthur through the work of Geoffrey of Monmouth, who spanned him as king and leader of a group of mounted knights, a very Norman image. Geoffrey uses Gildas, Bede, Nennius, and insular tradition to create a picture of a great medieval monarch, conqueror of many people, including the French and the Romans, a descendant of Constantine, and a king who made his court a hub of civilization. He retained the story of Saxon wars, identifying Baden with Bath. Arthur is the son of Otap and Akram and Eroigin with a capital at Silion. He possesses the sword, Excalibur, the shield, Pridwen, and the lance rod. He is married to Gwenhamara, and his principal warriors are the nomadic Ki and Veldiva, while Gulcrunus, that is the Gawain, and Mondred are his sisters. Mondred's son by King Lot, Merlin. Ambrosius appears as a prophet, aiding Arthur, but never meets Arthur after a battle with Mordred, whom he attempts to answer his kingdom and marry Queen. Arthur is wounded and is translated to Avalon. He succeeded by Constantine of Cornwall. The translations given here, and there is a pseudo-historic Arthur Chronicle is there, starting with Arthur of Romance. Later on, starting with Coleridge and Alwyn, that is 1100 C. And the earliest writer of the Romance and was given here the French Catherine de Tourance. Next comes the influence of Tourance, and there are many continuations of his unfinished. The Grail story, the famous Grail story, is the Holy Grail which comes. And next comes the version of the part scores called the Vulgate Cycle. That's the huge 13th century collection of prose romances by various authors. And the Vulgate and its successors are attempts to combine some of the branches of Arthur's Arthurian legend, but there are also vast number of miscellaneous romances related to it. Next comes Sir Thomas Marlowe's Le Morte d'Arthur. It is the first English prose collection translated from French, and talking about Sir Thomas, used to be a knight and took part in Hundred Year War and in the War of Roses too. Next comes William Caxton, who is printing the text, and he started William Caxton, and he really need of the time the beginning of the Tudor dynasty demanded the evidence of their connection with the medieval Arthur as a proof of their just claim on the English throne. Tudor literature begins and ends with Thomas Mallory. It's Le Morte d'Arthur. And in August 1485, Henry Tudor, laying claim to the crowns of England and Wales, disputing these with Richard III, arrived in Wales under flag and standard of King Arthur. The Red Dragon announced that Arthur's true heir, Henry Tudor, and returned to claim the throne of his ancestors. A fortnight later, he defeated Richard III and took the crown. That's the whole story of the Arthurian literature. Thanks.